Lads, we need to talk about Arknights Endfield because a bunch of jammy gits have just been able to get access to the upcoming beta early, and I am incredibly jealous. But we've got some cool little dribbles of information coming out from people who played the test and some articles as well, which we're going to go through. We're going to look at a little article on a website here as well on 4gamer.net. We've also got some images to check out as well. And there's a little snippet from the Brand Online video that I kind of wanted to like focus on, and also a little snippet of gameplay from Reddit as well regarding your AI teammates and how potentially we are starting to maybe see how defenders are actually going to be valuable in the game, because that's been a reason for worry for some players, and I've been one of them, worried that how are they going to be implemented, and I think we're maybe starting to see where they potentially have some use if Hypergryph really lean into that. So, without further ado, let's talk more Arknights Endfield, and let's hope and cope that we all get into the beta on the 28th as well, because I'm kind of stressing about it. But anyway, let's get into the game. Let's talk about it. Let's have a look at some stuff, and let me know what you think down below about everything as well, guys. All right, let's do it. So, we've got a couple of things to look at here, but first, before we get into this, let's just take a little look at the article over on 4gamer.net here, because there is some cool stuff here for new players and old players alike. A lot of people in the Arknight space have been asking, how is it going to connect? Are we going to be seeing stuff from Arknights? And obviously, is it going to be good for new players also? Zoomed in a little bit so you guys can see this. So, let's take a little look at this. So on November 10th, 2025, some jammy gits got to play the game. Hypergryph held a media presentation in Shanghai, China, regarding the beta test 2 for Endfield, PC, PS5, and mobile as well, which will begin on November 28th. This article summarizes a demo of the latest build at the venue, as well as the public interview and Q&A session with producer Mineko Paramono, hereafter Umineko, and level designer Rua. Okay? We just got some images as well from stuff here as well, guys. So, let's take a little look at this then, shall we? About the connection to the previous work and the theme of this work. So, this is a question that a lot of people who are fans of Arknights really want to know. Is the game going to have connection to Terra? So, let's have a little look then, shall we? First, he was asked how Arknights and Arknights Endfield are related. Mineko said that the idea for Arknights Endfield already existed in 2017 when Arknights was still being conceived. He explained that in order to provide both games as operational games at the same time, they are separated by a large timeline. The story has a backstory and many plot twists. Knowledge of the previous game is not required, but those who will enjoy discovering the many connections. Now, it'll be interesting to see how deep those connections go, and if they potentially offer a little, not just a little bit of member berries for the Arknights players, but something what you can actually, that's tangible within the game. Obviously, we saw little bits already in the previous beta in regards to Patriot and stuff like that, but will they go a little bit deeper? Will they be potentially a little bit more impactful? And then the ones that are, maybe there's just a little bit of an exposition dump for the new players to the Arknights IP. I do hope we do get some like tangible connections personally. So the reason for choosing a factory as a theme. Next, Umineko was asked why he chose a factory, a symbolic element of this game as the concept. Umineko explained that he's a fan of factory games. After that, he began planning how to naturally incorporate factory elements into the anime-style science fiction, but recalled that it was quite difficult and took nearly a year to complete. Not an actual easy thing to incorporate in a game like this, to be fair, and actually, you know, make it work. But as somebody who played it, I felt like the balance was almost there, if I'm honest, and hopefully on launch, it's just about right. Furthermore, there was no precedence for factory management games, and it was difficult to figure out how to make them coexist with factory simulation. After much trial and error, the first teaser video was released to the public in 2022. Rua expanded on the strengths of the factory games themselves, citing their large player base and the ability to create something unique and personal through experiences like base construction and line design. He also cited the Sandbox-like freedom that allows players to easily share the game on social media. Like Umineko, he added that focusing on factories is rare for a long-term title, and that he feels it represents a new concept. I must agree with that. It is definitely something that obviously we have factory games, but in regards to connecting it to a game like this, a ongoing live service game that has a heavy RPG element, is something that we haven't really seen in this space. And I think it, you know, it does have real potential, especially considering we are building the frontier, right? The potential, if it's done right and focused on over time, which, again, with all the worries that people have had, I do think it is going to be, because you can tell they really care about that side of the game. And we've literally got it from the horse's mouth right here, haven't we? Immersion created by 4 operators fighting simultaneously on a single screen. Okay, so this is about being able to see everybody on screen, which I am a big fan of. Title's appeal extends beyond the factory elements as well as the combat content. Rue explained that the format of up to 4 operators fighting in real time on the same screen is quite rare for long-term title. They're talking about live service titles here. Well, in this space, if we're talking gacha, then yes, it is a little bit more rare, isn't it? Especially for a mobile game, which is true as well, because it's just easier not to have multiple units on screen, isn't it, for the devices? Fighting multiple characters simultaneously allows players to naturally experience a sense of teamwork and cooperation, providing a sense of realism and immersion as they overcome challenges together. We've got some more images here. Furthermore, they're aiming for a high level of strategy, similar to a card game. There are a huge number of options in stacking abnormal effects, such as arts abnormalities and physical abnormalities. Now, we've seen that we are getting the elemental reaction type system that's coming to the game. I wonder if they're really going to work on like adding to that and layering it up and connecting them and having them work, the actual afflictions work against each other and with each other in a bunch of different ways as well in the future as well, because I'm hopeful that that's going to be a thing. Will be particularly important. They continued saying they want players to enjoy creating their own formations. Good to hear. I'm always a massive advocate of how I love the choice in Arknights. Give me choice in this game. It's never going to be the same, and that amount will as much as possible. Using their individuality and free imagination, regardless of the rarity of the operators. Good to hear. Is that them saying, don't worry, you know, the 4 stars are actually going to be incredibly viable here. You're not going to be needing to run premium operators all the time, hopefully. So we've got new additions and changes. The live broadcast on October 31st revealed a significant amount of new content and improves for Beta Test 2, which we know about here, right? Obviously, there's talks of the story here, which I've noticed a few other people have been talking about, that they're saying it seems a little bit more tighter than what it was before. Now, I will be partially paying attention to the story. Again, I want to enjoy it on launch. I kind of ignored most of it in the last beta, so I'm going to do the same here, really, because I want to go into the launch of the game and just enjoy it. Whenever there's a beta, I never get too bogged down on the story. I try and have a little glance to see if it's just ridiculously bad. And then if it seems competent, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hope on launch that it's good. I'm not going to get too bogged down on specifics of the story, because I really just want to enjoy it when it comes out. And I can't play a story 4 or 5 times and then try and enjoy it on launch as well. So, we've got a new addition on the map, Wuling, and 9 new operators. So, that's really cool. We've seen all the operators here, and we've got images of them all here, along with our 4 stars as well, which I've got to say, the 4 stars look great in regards to their animations and the combat. They look like 4 stars, but they don't look like they play like 4 stars, if that makes sense. So, it's a large volume of up to 50 to 60 hours, which is good, right? I think a lot of people are going to be like, man, I'm going to need more than that. But that's still a good chunk of game there to get your teeth into. But the pace is good, and it's clear what you should do. When asked about the amount of content this time, Mineko explained that it's about 50 to 60 hours. The experience flow has been significantly revised, including the scope of the previous tests, and improvements have been made to make it more immersive. Always good to hear, because one thing I felt from Endfield when I started playing it last time, I said that was one of the big defining factors for me. It definitely felt more immersive than a Wuwa and a Genshin type game. Not to do the comparisons off the bat, but that's all I can think of as a contemporary in this space. The story direction has been completely revised, and many cutscenes have also been added. Interesting, so they have been tweaking the story then, because a lot of people, again, I kind of avoided it a lot, but a lot of people were a little bit worried about the story, especially people who have enjoyed Arknights. The story is really good, so I think people want to see a bit of that coming over into this game, don't they? Even though it's going to be told in a different way, it still has to be high quality, right? Rue added that the game has been redesigned to allow for natural transition between story and combat without any interruptions. Ooh, that's really good to hear then. So smooth flow from gameplay into cutscenes and story. Okay, so I wonder if we'll get a lot more of characters, chatting along as we're doing things as well. It's sandbox style rather than open world with natural linear design. Being able to go anywhere isn't necessarily a good experience for all players. Agree. Sometimes open worlds can be a little bit draining, if you ask me, and just kind of get in the way of the gameplay after a while. Some players will drop out because they don't know what to do. By creating a potential guide, players can naturally progress forward. Even the tutorial isn't about clearing out obstacles, but rather defeating the landbreaker that stands in their way. However, there are also elements like treasure chests on the other side of the fence, forcing players to think for themselves how to get there. The map density has been increased to create an interesting experience that goes beyond a simple linear path. Love to hear that. I said this in a video that I made before when I said I thought Tech Tom was wrong about exploration in Arknights Endfield, and I thought the fact that it was more grounded and it was a little bit like to get to chests and particular items around the map, you kind of had to play it like an old school platformer puzzle, or sometimes you had to kind of be like, well, how do I get there? There wasn't anything insanely intricate what we played, but it was still fun. Traversal felt significant. You wasn't just gliding and jumping everywhere, so everything kind of felt even smaller. And considering it's not open world, we don't need to be zipping around everywhere like we're on crack either, do we? We just don't. An evolution from 2D ADV format, the difficulty of presenting a story in 3D. The previous game had a story in 2D illustrated ADV format, but this game has many scenes that use 3D. Umineko explained that once a 3D scene is created, it is difficult to correct it. Even a small correction would mean having to recreate most of it, which was difficult. True. This is true. This is what I was saying before. We've got to understand that the expense of everything goes up with a game like this, and it's just taking so much more resources for every individual character, for every individual frame, for every individual action. It's not just a PNG with a bunch of text and a small chibi that's built into the game. It's a lot more going on, right? So, in addition, in order to achieve the atmosphere of Arknights that combines realism with an anime-style feel, the company conducted repeated tests internally and created a new framework. Okay. What's this here? It's a hybrid that allows 2D formats when having remote conversational displaying maps, etc. Interesting. Okay. This makes me think, I know this is just in a development thing here, but I was talking about, will we potentially see them take advantage of some potential RTS moments in the game? Now, I'm just headcanoning here from this. This really doesn't mean that, but I'm thinking that isometric viewpoint snap to being able to do something that's akin to old school Arknights. I don't know. I'm just thinking out the box there. Regarding the newly added area, Wuling, a water city that blends tradition and modernity, Umineko explained that it's a map with an oriental worldview, while noting that an oriental world tends to bring to mind images of something traditional or old-fashioned. He said that this time the concept is a futuristic oriental world, which obviously I think when you think traditional oriental you might do, but I think now people's contemporary view of China is advanced, right? So it makes sense, and obviously it makes sense for the sci-fi world that we're in. And then we get some images here, and oh my god, guys, is she not like Tal coded, right? Like, I'm just getting hard Tallulah vibes. But I'm here for it. So we got some gorgeous images here, man. The characters, oh my days. They're taking the tradition on from Arknights, right? Of just absolutely stunning characters. They look gorgeous. We got some environmental stuff here that we've already saw. While it is a fortress city built on a rift, it also has an academic aspect. Many members of the development team are graduates of the China Academy of Art, and the map apparently incorporates a lot of Chinese culture. Water is a key point for both movement and industry, which you saw about this, right? An overall premise, he said that the emphasis on linking gameplay and content. Wuling is an area rich in water and nature, and you can use water to solve areas where you can't see due to difference in elevation, or to create and use water-based energy called breath. Water plays an important role in both the industrial system and exploration. I like the idea that it's being incorporated into exploration. I like this idea that we're potentially gonna have more additional environmental interaction with exploration going forward as well. I'm really excited about that. Going back to this grounded type of movement gives you a lot more options to be able to do stuff like that, because that stuff doesn't matter if you can just run up the wall or you can grapple, which I'm not saying that's a problem, but you lose those small little mechanics that have a consequential feeling to them. They're impactful, right? Because they mean something, because you need to interact with them. We can just see it saying water is pumped up and then released into another location to raise the water level to create a road, which is cool. So we're seeing that we can fill up areas with water to be able to access stuff and that. I'm assuming it's going to lift these lily pads up. Breath can be used for energy and purification. In addition to the addition of Wuling, and in addition to the addition, a regional currency that can strengthen the facilities in that region and transportation system between regions has also been added. When asked if it will be difficult, even for beginners, to easily create an automated production line in the industrial system, Rua replied that the development team is still working on trial and error. Therefore, a new blueprint system has been introduced this time, allowing you to quickly set up production lines. Even large-scale complex projects can be easily tried out with just a blueprint. So, this has been translated. What I'm getting from here, it doesn't even necessarily mean that we are going to get blueprints. But what I'm saying here, this is a work in progress. This is definitely not the final result, right? And as I said, a lot of people are worried about all these different things. One of the things I think is a genuine result, Super brought it up, I've brought it up, is if rewards are tied to the results of your base, then people will be encouraged to potentially just use the most efficient from other people's. So it'd be interesting if they are thinking about all of these things to counteract those little things, because for me, I've got no issues with the blueprint, and it sounds by how they're describing things, they are on top of potentially working things, as I say, through trial and error. I think they're going to get a lot of information from people being able to interact with the stuff. Additionally, it is possible to copy and paste lines that have already been placed and share them on social media and other features. Implemented include message beacons, a photo taking function, and a medal system. Medals can be displayed in your own room, and you can also visit friends' reception rooms, which is cool as well. The story behind the birth of Perlica and Chen. There was also a question about how the game's characters, including Perlica, the inspector who supports the protagonist, were created. Mineko explained that the inspiration for Perlica came from a dream he had one day of a girl riding a motorcycle across a desert. He shared the image from his dream with his team, and the character Perlica was born. That's actually really cool, that is. I like the lore behind that. That's actually kind of dope. Dude dreamt of Perlica, and then the team created her. I really like that, actually. I really like Perlica, and I fucking love Chen as well. However, it wasn't Perlica who was first created for this game, but her partner, Chen, which makes sense considering Chen is such a big character in Arknights as well. It's not the same Chen, it's a relative apparently, but you know, and she's designed a descendant of the Chen family, so she's a descendant from the previous game, and there was also a desire to somehow make her small, as she was often sullen. Yep, because a lot of people, when I first saw her, it was like, nah man, OG Chen's the best, which obviously I've spent more time with OG Chen, so I think I agree with that now. I do really like the fact that it's a juxtaposition in comparison to old Chen, right? She's a different person altogether. Because the setting was created at an early stage, many things have changed since the beginning, but it seems that the original idea has not changed. 3D character expression. Man, we have got a lot of stuff to go through here, haven't we? 3D character expression. Regarding the challenge in terms of visuals, Mineko said that in his work, they attempted the inherent contradiction of recreating 2D in a realistic anime-style 3D. Interesting. Okay. As a result, they arrived at a combination of PBR, physically based rendering, and MBR, non-photorealistic rendering that gives the 3D look a bit like hand-drawn art. Okay. The impression changes depending on how the light hits it and the materials used. Interesting. Okay. Is this what makes the game look so fucking pretty then? Interesting. Alright, I like the idea that they were trying to bring the DNA from Arknights in that regard, right? To enhance a sense of immersion, Mineko adopted the methods of high-quality AAA titles. The art and the technical teams worked together to ensure all elements flowed smoothly, even paying close attention to the way characters sat and their standby motions. Love to hear that. Attention to detail. You can already see that in the game, especially with the way the characters emote and their expressions. They are really good, right? Technical challenges. Here we go. This title is Hypergryph's first large-scale 3D game and is scheduled for simultaneous worldwide release. This is what I was saying to people as well. We have to give a little bit of ground here for this potentially having a bit of a rocky launch. We hope it doesn't, right? And I'm not doom posting here. But we are seeing them going from a 2D game that they publish themselves domestically and Yostar helped publish it globally. They're now going to a whole different monster and they're doing it all themselves through their subsidiary Griffline. So it's going to be a totally different beast for them to deal with, right? So hopefully, obviously, they get everything right. But I'm expecting some stumbles, right? I'll be surprised if they didn't, and if they didn't, massive W. Brewer reflected on the technical challenges, citing displaying 4 operators and numerous enemies on the same screen as a particular challenge, makes sense, using highly detailed models with 80,000 to 100,000 polygons per character, 40,000 to 50,000 polygons for the mobile version. Damn, that's a lot for the mobile version. CPU and GPU optimization was essential, and the project presented a series of challenges, including rebuilding Unity's underlying technology. So they went all out on the engine then, yeah. I think, man, they've done some good work with Unity, right? But I think being on Unity, it means we're probably going to have a lot better running game as well. If we've Unreal Engine 5's anything to go by recently as well. So I'm hopeful that mobile's going to at least be somewhat playable, right? So furthermore, the simultaneous worldwide release involved pre-recording voice actors for each language as the storyboard stage and localizing the characters to convey their individuality. Go into that. Please let us use different languages for characters simultaneously, at least for the battle lines, please. I would love that. Their individuality in accordance with the language and culture, which was a huge amount of work and led to significant growth for the development team. Makes sense. These challenges are what the team is focusing on so that they can continue to provide service for the world of Arknights Endfield for many years to come. Great to hear. Can people who haven't played Arknights enjoy this game? Umineko, absolutely not. Who haven't played Arknights enjoy this game? Okay. Can people who haven't played Arknights enjoy this game? Absolutely not. And that's a mistake in the translation. Absolutely. We want everyone, both new and existing players, to enjoy the game, and we want to build a community together with everyone. We've provided ample guides so that even those who haven't played Arknights can easily immerse themselves in the world. Of course, there are some things that existing players will be familiar with, but they're generally quite minimal. Okay. I'm hoping that, well, minimal, they'll potentially be significant, I'm hoping, as somebody who enjoys Arknights. But I do like the fact that they're going to give guides. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Is that going to be things that you can read to get acquainted with stuff, or the character's going to explain stuff? Who knows? Experience with tactic games may make a difference. We've provided extensive games so that everyone can enjoy the game and start from the same starting line. Even people who aren't familiar with the previous game can enjoy this one. Those who want to learn more about the game's deeper worldview and Easter eggs may be inspired to play the previous game after playing this one. Hey, I did. I played the beta, and now I'm a fecking Arknights simp. It's my favourite gacha game at the moment, so take what you will out to that. Social elements have been added, but will multiplayer be implemented? We have a philosophy of meeting the diverse needs of our players, but we fundamentally prioritise single-player mode. We included some social elements in Arknights. With this game, we're prioritising social interaction through the gameplay experience. Social elements have nothing to do with revenue, but we hope people will enjoy it. Also, even if we implement multiplayer, we don't intend it for it to be mandatory. That's great to hear. I do think we'll have something in the future. I do, but that's good to hear. We've been primarily developing single-player titles for a long time. Social elements are kept light, so even players who aren't comfortable with PvP can enjoy the game. We're considering adding the ability to cooperate and build with friends in the future, but there are no short-term plans for this implementation. We're primarily aiming for asynchronous light interaction. Okay, I'm okay with that. Would be cool to do co-op stuff later with friends, definitely. Man, we've got a lot to go through here. Please tell us the core concept of the battle system. In the previous test, we focused on balancing strategy and action. This is an RPG, and combat is at the core of the game. Rather than a simple turn-based system or a quick, exhilarating action game, we're designing strategic, real-time battles. Increasing the action element creates an exhilarating feeling, but reduces the strategic element. Conversely, prioritizing strategy slows the tempo, so we're constantly making adjustments to strike that balance. Now, let me just pause for a moment there. I want to go over to this clip here from Bran Online, which I think is quite significant in regards to that, because, and there's another video I want to show you as well, because there's been the worry about defenders, right? Now, let's just watch this clip from Bran. Let me make it so you guys can actually hear. That would help, right? That would definitely help.
Level 80 boss. I wanted to challenge myself because I'd already fought it once, but just look at these movesets, man. There's certain attacks in this game where you really have to pay attention and learn them over time. It's not just a case of going in there and understanding what to do.
So we can see here, we're actually having to jump these sort of attacks and stuff, right? Which that itself isn't so significant, but it's making me hopeful that we aren't going to see mechanics designed to specifically require or necessitate or make more use of defenders going forward. Just a tiny little clip I wanted to show you. And along with this one here, guys, check this out here. Look at the AI teammates' health here. And I think this is a level 60 boss. And I think these characters are level 80. I'm not 100% sure. But just check this out here. Have a look at the health. See them, the boss is putting some serious work on some of these. They're having to use the healing items here, which is good to see, in my opinion. This is another thing, again, that makes me confident that potentially defenders in situations are going to be incredibly beneficial. So that actual archetype itself will be needed or useful in the game and have some use to it, because that was a big worry from people. And just those two little things, very small. I can't really pull too much from that, but it just makes me a little bit confident in that, right? As a long-term title, what kind of update plans do you have in mind? In a PvE title, players consume content faster than development, so I think it's ideal to update content periodically. Playtime varies from player to player, and I hope players can enjoy each version in their own style. Of course, we're continually accepting feedback and creating stable future plans. Arknights is also a long-term title, so we're taking that experience into account when formulating unique update plans. We want to deliver regular surprises. Okay, so that's kind of vague there, really. They're basically saying they want to be on top of it, but they know that players are going to outpace them in consumption, which is expected. I think that's a roundabout way of potentially saying it might not be as fast as some people hope, and that's always going to be an issue in these games, right? It's all about the content in terms of endgame and events or permanent events that they create that can fill the void, right? In regards to that sort of stuff. And I suppose the base as well is going to be a thing that can potentially help that, because you can always go back to tinkering and making things more efficient and all that sort of stuff. Some content development is nearing completion, and we're currently polishing it. We're preparing large-scale content like battles and maps. We hope to provide content at a pace that matches everyone's needs. What does that mean? We're preparing large-scale content like battles and maps. We hope to provide content at a pace that matches everyone's needs. Could that be an alluding to that new mode that was shown off, that like dungeon crawler mode where you go in and get materials? Because some people are talking, what if that kind of worked like an extraction mode where you had a time limit to go in and get gear and get out? Kind of like the idea of that. Potential roguelike elements. Large, like, battles and maps. Interesting. I wonder if... I don't know what to take from that. I'm intrigued by that comment, though, and kind of excited at the same time. The industrial system introduces a blueprint system, but does not automation force players to use the best solution. Okay, that's a bit of a bad translation, but I think I'll get where they're going at there. A good factory game has an ultimate goal, and players have flexibility to find their own answers toward that goal. This game is designed so that players can reach the goal if they put in the time, so it's not like you can't complete the game unless you find the best solution. I believe many players are now able to complete the game on their own without relying on walkthroughs. In future versions, we will continue to refine the industrial system and add new elements. Okay, so they're saying that they believe people are going to want to engage with the systems there. They haven't specifically said how they will do that. Now, I potentially think that could be alluding to maybe if you're not building it yourself, you might potentially miss out on some sort of reward. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. A good factory game has an ultimate goal, and players have the flexibility to find their own answer toward the goal. Obviously, talking about there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all there, but they see it about them putting in the time. What will be the benefit of putting in the time other than the journey, though? Will you maybe get something you don't if you don't do the blueprints? Because if it's just going to benefit you in every way possible to do that, it's going to encourage people to do it, right? Of course. There's nothing to worry about. You can create your own unique automated production line, and we're not mandated to do things a certain way. Okay, interesting. Interesting. What philosophy does the development team hold dear? Echo, at the Hypergryph, our goal is to create great games, and we work hard every day to create them. Developing a major 3D title is an unavoidable path. We've received some harsh criticism up until now, but we're taking it as useful, even though... Okay. All right, it's shown that they're open and they're listening to feedback as well, right? We're a team with no experience in major 3D titles. We finally made it to the brink of release. Ooh. Endfield tomorrow. Q1, the brink of release. Okay. I believe we can deliver a better experience to the fans and players who have encouraged us, and I feel we can take on more difficult games. The design team also places the utmost importance on creation. We constantly examine our designs to see if they're truly interesting, and I believe players will find the systems and characters to be new and unique. Okay, I tend to believe that after how they've handled that in Arknights. They're all of anime-style games, but you are also conscious of other works. Even though they are called anime-style games, the game designs vary. Some are based on the concept of casually killing time, while others are designed to let you experience something or to communicate ideas. And the concepts and targets are all different. Again, I'll say this all the time when it comes to gacha games. People try and box them in, and this is how a gacha game should be made and should be played. And I think it's reductive. Hypergryph has a large number of gamers, and while there are a ton of anime-style games out there, we wanted to make a game like that, and there were voices from players saying they wanted to play something like that, so the developers and the players' wishes matched, the production progressed. Are there any plans to implement skins or costumes? Big question. Costumes are an important element in anime-style titles, but we don't have any plans to introduce them at this time. I think that just means on launch, right? First of all, we want to create new maps and elements, and we may introduce costumes if they are suitable. Interesting. Okay, I don't know if that's just a poor translation there, because I really hope we do see a good amount of skins, right? I don't know if this is a little lost in translation here, but at the same time, it is really interesting to see that they want to make sure that content is king. Because at the end of the day, don't matter how many skins are in a game if it's lacking. So I'm all for that. Give me skins, but if it takes priority over content, then alright, put them to the back of the list. I'm okay with that. Please tell us about Radio Metal Sword, which was announced during the live show on October 31st. It's a music radio station related to Hypergryph's virtual music brand. We all know they're a music company, really. They just make games to keep funding the music business. MSR, since it's radio station, it will deliver both advertisements and music. I'd like to increase the amount of music from this brand and develop various projects such as music programs. This is not surprising. Anybody who plays Arknights knows the music is amazing. I do like the idea that, is it going to be like GTA-esque? Obviously, it's not going to be that like GTA. You know, you're not going to have freaking the talk radio in GTA, but I really like the idea of us potentially being able to just listen to the radio. That's really cool. Please say a few words about Beta Test 2. I'm really nervous. I hope you enjoy playing. I think the revisions have made it a lot better. Please give us your feedback. Okay. All right. Once again, a lot to digest there, guys. Yeah. I am incredibly excited. I must admit, I do want there to be skins in the game. I do like the fact that they've made sure to specifically state that they do want the game to have strategy, but they also want it to have a good pace to it, a good tempo to it. They're trying to find that middle ground. This is what this game is trying to be. It's not trying to be the RTS Arknights game. It's not trying to be the Wuthering Waves reaction-based action game. It's trying to find that middle ground, and it looks like it's getting there, right? Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding on launch, but I like the fact that they're trying to find that ground. That's what they're looking at. You know, too many people said that it should be one and it should be the other. Let's let the devs decide what they want it to be, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? But I'm incredibly excited to get my hands on it. I do like this, like say, I might be coping here, but it makes me a little bit more confident in regards to defenders and them actually being a little bit more viable. And also, guys, look, just look at this. Come on. Oh my days. She's got a freaking power fist. Like, lads, ladies and gentlemen, I am so here for these designs. I'm sure you'll be seeing loads of content over the last few days. I'm super jealous of people like Bran Online. I really want to play the game. Hopefully I'll get into the beta. Hopefully you do too. And man, I am excited for Arknights Endfield. Every little bit of content I see just makes me more excited, and I cannot wait to play this game, and I cannot wait for it to launch. I'm excited. Hopefully you are. Let me know what you think down below about all of that information. I'll leave a link to the article as well, so you guys can read through it yourself and have a look at all the pictures and all that sort of stuff. So guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you've enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Yara.